Good morning everybody, welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. I hope you're all doing great and welcome to this new video and this morning update on XRP. Pretty exciting video because there are some things we need to talk about regarding XRP right now. Both technically and fundamentally interesting things. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's not waste any time and talk about what's going on. And fundamentally, one of the most interesting things, and I think the technicals for XRP are actually more interesting, but we'll get into those a little bit later. And ultimately, my thoughts that I had yesterday morning on XRP are still the same, right? So in that sense, my technical view on XRP hasn't changed. But I do think, and that is something I haven't really seen priced in yet, I do think the news that we got yesterday of the Solana ETF matters, right? Because we had the news that we could see a Solana ETF in the next 3 to 5 weeks. And I checked out all the ETF data and all the approval probabilities, and Ripple, a Ripple ETF or an XRP ETF, we should say, is actually very high on that list as well. And I think, and I've said this in the past as well when we spoke about a potential XRP ETF, I think the XRP ETF is one of the ETFs that has most potential in out of all cryptos in terms of getting an ETF, right? There's a lot of ETFs being thrown around, and then when we're talking about, for example, a Hedera ETF, look, I think it's going to be bought, but do I really think it's going to have a major impact on the price? Unfortunately not. With XRP, that's different, all right? The main target group of these ETFs are US customers and US investors, right? Because I believe here in Europe, we actually already have some sort of XRP ETF, but I might be wrong about that. But at least it's available for investors. And XRP, its main base of customers, fans, investors already is in the US. All right, and we've seen we still need to get a final outcome between the Ripple and the SEC, but after that, I think XRP and Ripple as a company as well will be one of the most attractive investments for institutions and retail in the US. Whether that's deserved or not doesn't really matter, all right? It is what we have observed so far in the last year already. A lot of people are saying, well, XRP is just weak, XRP is doing nothing. But then at the same time, if you zoom out, you can see that XRP at this point in time is still at the same levels as the end of November and the beginning of December. And I've said this very, very often, but there's not a lot of cryptos that are at that same level. Right, so I think, and I don't think the ETF is priced in, right? So if you combine that with the fact that XRP BTC finally seems to have found a bottom, right? So that actually paves the way for some sort of outperformance from XRP in relation to Bitcoin, which is something you always need to get a rally. And then outside of that, the technicals, we broke above this major level right here between 2.25, 2.29. Yesterday, we respected that. In general, volume could be higher, to be fair. But in general, we're holding that very, very well. We're also holding the 4-hour uptrend here, 7-day and 90-day rolling VWAP. So in general, short term, I have to technically be bullish on the XRP already and say that it's most likely we'll probably do something like this. We have some resistance at 2.35, bounce down from there, but ultimately hold this level right here at 2.26, 2.28 to get a continuation into the high time frame POC around 2.42. That's what I would expect technically short term, but I think technically and fundamentally, over the medium term, or maybe the long term, I think we can rally much higher. Value area high is at 2.6, so let's keep that as a conservative target. But it's looking pretty good right now, and that is what I think you need to know. That's what we're going to end this video on. If you still do have any questions, anything, let me know down in the comments, or better yet, join our Telegram or Discord servers. But for now, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your week, and bye.